Hey, what's up, guys? We can have civil debates, but as far as, let's just say, the media bias and what we're being shown and told, they expect us to believe everything that comes out of their mouth, which majority of us don't. Just like at the beginning of the crime, we've heard theories about the cartels, the frat boys, as well as mainstream media lies, just like it's being portrayed as a crime of passion in the early days of the investigation. Four University of Idaho students killed in crime of passion. The authorities were still piecing together what had transpired at a home near the University of Idaho campus. Like, do we really believe it was a crime of passion? Do we really? I don't. Just like, do we really believe the timeline that they gave us? Like they said that Ethan and Xana was at the Sigma Chi party until 1:45. Well, this is the original timeline that they were going by. Ethan and Xana attended Sigma Chi party, but everything changes. Like at first, it was from 9 p.m. to 1:45. That was according to Bethany. Then we had some reports come out that it was from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Like, we really don't know what's going on in this case because the narrative is constantly changing on us. Like, what was this state police forensics person taking a picture of? And we all know the crime scene was contaminated by the Moscow Police Department because they didn't have protection when they went into the house. What they did was not wear booties in and out of the house. Or if they did wear booties in the house, instead of changing them when they went back into the house, they didn't. It's like, this is the kitchen area. I don't know if they're searching for prints or what, but everyone knows that there was no prints left behind. And do we really believe it was one person that did it? I mean, there's a large chunk of us that don't believe just one person did it. More than one person did it. Because how can one person who don't know the inside of the house, and there's six people inside, he don't know if they're up and walking around or what? How can one person manage six people all at once? Just like I read Inside Looking's post that stated Xana and Maddie were the targets, and Kaylee and Ethan were collateral damage. And I kind of find it hard to believe that those three unknown male DNAs that they found weren't tested. Or if they were tested, it wasn't any consequence to them because they had their patsy. And yes, I believe Brian is a patsy. And I don't believe it was Kaylee who yelled, "There's someone here." I think it was Xana, because Xana's DoorDash order was sitting on the counter. And how would Dylan even know if it was Kaylee yelling, "There's someone here," when Xana didn't open her, not Xana, when Dylan didn't open her door at all, except for those three miraculous times that, oh, the first time she heard the sounds of Kaylee playing with Murphy. The second time she heard open the door when she thought she heard Kernodle crying, and a male voice to the effect of, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." No homicidal maniac ever says, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." And then she basically discredited herself with with the statement a paragraph and a half later. "I opened the door for the third time after what I thought I heard was a Kernodle crying, and then I saw the killer walking towards me." I think she was being spoon fed everything by Brett Payne, by the detectives on what to say, because for all we know, she could have been drunk that night. And she didn't know exactly what had happened, because, I mean, it is a college town. That was a sorority house. Because don't tell me it's not a sorority house when you have women of sorority living in that house. Because I hear that constantly. Oh, it wasn't a sorority house. Then how come you had members of Pi Beta Phi and Sigma Chi, which was Ethan, and Alpha Phi, all living in that house? Yeah, I may have been born in the dark, but it wasn't last night. And this is what the house used to look like. It had a garage and everything. I mean, we all can agree to disagree, and we all can have civil debates and civil discussions. But when you tell me, "Oh, well, we're looking for a 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantra," and then you turn around and say, "Oh, well, no, it was a 2011 to 2015 Hyundai Elantra," and then, well, you turn around and say, "Oh, no, it was a 2011 to 2016 Hyundai Elantra," which one is it? Were they just saying all that stuff to try to quote unquote throw the killer off? If they were trying to throw the killer off, it didn't work, because he went on like life is normal. And just because a guy is a vegan or quiet, or it kind of has an odd nature, doesn't mean they're a killer. It just means they're unique. It doesn't mean they're a killer at all. But we're always talking about the victims' families. Oh, what about the Mogans? Oh, what about the Chapins? Oh, what about the Canadals? What about the Gonzaleses? Well, what about the Coburgers? What about the Coburgers? They had their house destroyed in a pre-dawn raid just to arrest their son. Do you think they get any compensation for the damages that happened to their house? No. And just because somebody wears rubber gloves doesn't mean they're a killer either. He suffered from OCD more than likely, as well as being a vegan. Vegans don't like to touch stuff that's dirty, so they will more than likely wear rubber gloves. And the last time I checked, there is no crime putting your garbage in the neighbor's garbage can in Pennsylvania. If your garbage can is running over, all you'd have to do is just ask the neighbor, hey, my trash can's running over. Can I put my trash in your trash can? And 9 times out of 10, they'll say yes, especially living where they lived at, which was a very high class area in the Poconos in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. Brian's family is either middle class or upper middle class to own a home in that type of area. But do they have money to fly 200 and getting jumbled here. Got all these facts going through my head, guys. Flying or driving 2,500 miles from Pennsylvania to Moscow, Idaho to visit their son. I can see why they don't go to Moscow. I can see why they don't go to the court hearing. Because of who their son is, they would be ridiculed and shunned and probably threatened and everything else. I feel sorry for Michael Koberger and his wife. I really do. And I feel sorry for Brian's sisters. Because not only did the Gonzalez's, the Mogans, the Cronodals, and the Chapins lose somebody that they lost somebody too. The Kobergers lost their son, who's sitting in a county jail in Moscow, Idaho, being accused of these horrendous, horrific crimes that none of us know if he actually did. Because the gag order stops us from actually knowing what's going on. Bill Thompson sealing everything up stops us from knowing what's going on in this case. Did any records get sealed in the Lori Vallow Daybell case? Did any records get sealed in the Chad Daybell case? Did any records get sealed, say, in the Jeffrey Dahmer case, or the Ted Bundy case, or the Charles Manson case, or the Dennis Rader case? Did any of their records get sealed before trial? I'd say probably not. Did any records get sealed in the Delphi case before the trial? Probably not. I swear sometimes Idaho is the land of confusion. You got Bill Thompson doing one thing with his right hand, and he's like, oh, don't pay attention to the left hand, what the left hand is doing. Just pay attention to my right hand. And just like Dylan Mortensen. I mean, how many of us believe that she's actually going to testify? Bethany ain't going to testify. No, she's not. And can someone tell me what this is? Is this a nightstand? Is this a computer desk? I'm wondering if this came out of Maddie's room or this came out of Xana's room. I know right there is blood. But yet they seal everything up. And all we have to go by, guys, is leaked information. A lot of our stuff that we get here on YouTube is leaked information. Latah County prosecutor will seek the death penalty in the Koberg case. Now, I understand Bill Thompson is the prosecutor, but how many prosecutors show up either the same day or the next day when you supposedly don't know who the perpetrator is, and you do a vandal report saying shelter in place, and then release the shelter in place 3 hours later, 4 hours later? And why is there only 117 pieces of evidence total for the victims? Shouldn't there be more than just 117 pieces, guys? I think there should be. See? Right here. That was the day after the crimes. Monday, November 14th, 2022. There's some type of corruption going on here in this town, in this case, with whether it be the U of I, the sororities, the fraternity. I'm not blaming the sororities or the fraternities because I haven't seen evidence that they're involved in anything. But I do know that a year after the unalivings, uh, Pi Beta Phi tried to distance themselves from the tragedy. Come, put an ornament on our Christmas tree for those that we have lost. Those that we have lost. And see, just like Dylan with that very odd letter at the celebration of life, my people that greatly impacted my life and made me so happy. I wish that I could give them all one last hug because they greatly impacted my life. Just like, the ladder that was for the longest time leaned against the house. And then all of a sudden, it was propped up near that ledge without any explanation, with crime scene tape going through it. Could Hunter Johnson maybe have climbed up that ladder to get into Xana's room when he couldn't get in through the actual bedroom door? Could he like went out there, got the ladder, propped it up, and used it to climb up on the ledge to get into Xana's room? We don't know because no one's saying nothing about that. The ladder is an afterthought. It truly is. It's an afterthought to a lot of people, and well, not to me, and not to some others. Just like I know I harp on this all the time, guys. I know I do, but I just can't get it out of my head. The 8-hour delay. Why would you not call the police or 911 when you thought you heard someone in the house that night? What would make you not call 911? If you heard Kaylee or Xana, which I think it was Xana because the DoorDash was sitting there on the counter by the back sliding glass door. If you heard someone say, "There's someone here," why not call 911? I mean, we had a lady calling 911 when her son got a jury survey. We had her calling the sheriff's department on that because of the quote unquote graphic nature of the jury survey. But a surviving roommate, I'm not going to call her a victim. She's not a surviving victim. She's a roommate. If a surviving roommate doesn't call 911, but yet calls friends over that morning, you're not going to call 911, but you're going to call friends over. I don't know what, to get your story straight, to get something out of the house that you don't want to be busted with in the house. Just makes you wonder. And I know we're never going to hear the 911 call, probably not until it goes to trial. But you had multiple people in the house that morning passing the phone around, using either Bethany or Dylan's cell phone, passing it around while you're on the phone with 911. And how did a unconscious person even come in? We think we have an unconscious person here. I'm sorry. You would be able to smell death in that house. You'd be able to smell blood. I'm sure Dylan smelled the smell of death or smelled the smell of blood in that house because we are always getting told, oh, it was a gruesome crime scene. It was horrific. It was bad in that house. So then why didn't you call 911? Why did you call your friends over first? Oh, I know. It's the code of the sororities and the fraternities to call the sororities and fraternities over if something bad happens. Just like the night of the unalivings. The only one in that house that did not have a timeline was Dylan. She didn't have a timeline. And I'd like to know how come as soon as Dylan and Bethany was interviewed, quote unquote, by Moscow, by the ISP detectives and the FBI, why did they both lawyer up? As soon as they were interviewed, they lawyered up. And why would Bethany be afraid of going to jail if she came back to Idaho? Obstruction of justice charges, maybe, for not calling a 911 for 8 hours. But yet, the college knew before the police because you had all those college students standing out in front of the house, and everybody knew by 8:30 or 10 a.m. But yet the cops weren't called until noon. You explain that one to me. Even Xana's sister, who went to WSU, knew before the cops. Gee, isn't that kind of odd that the college and the college students would know before the police? Yeah, I'd be afraid to go to jail too, Miss Funk. But yet Dylan says she has tremendous, tremendous survivor's guilt. And she has become a social recluse and plays video games all day and smokes weed and has to get up the courage to go out for her morning runs and is seeking therapy through her spiritual community. This is according to her father. I'm sorry, if you have that much survivor's guilt, maybe you kind of feel guilty for not calling 911. Maybe you feel guilty because you might have known the attackers. And I hear a lot about this, the plus one thing. Dylan invited Kaylee to a sorority party as her plus one. Now I haven't seen any evidence on this. I've heard theories and rumors about it, but I haven't heard exact evidence on it. But on one of my shorts, I found this post that Bethany did, not Bethany, Dylan did a few days or weeks after the murders, where she states in the post on Twitter/X, I miss Maddie the most, but I don't miss Xana. Now, how can you miss Xana, not miss Xana, but only miss Maddie? Can someone explain that to me like I'm a 3-year-old? That's kind of very wrong to do. And I believe I still have it. There we go. Who is Dylan Mortensen? Or what is she hiding? Because she posted 4 days after the murders at 10:40 p.m. that she missed Maddie and she didn't miss Xana, and she blamed Xana for Maddie's murder. So what's going on with her? Who is Dylan? That's the actual Twitter post behind me. So we'll never know exactly what's going on in this case as long as this gag order is in existence. And just because there is a gag order, that leaves us to us as true crime buffs to get to the bottom of what's really going on in Moscow, Idaho, because we're being told these mainstream media lies, the mainstream media bias about this man being guilty. I'm sorry, this is the United States of America. He is innocent until proven guilty, not the other way around. And yes, I understand it's a capital case, but still, these commentators, I'm not going to say no names, mainstream media commentators need to remember it's innocent until proven guilty. Like always, guys, like, comment, subscribe, and share my channel. Hit that bell notification for any new uploads. And go ahead and hit that join button for members only perks, members only live streams, videos, and shorts, and member shout outs. You guys have a good Saturday evening. This is TCC out.